Have you ever noticed how some scandals dominate the headlines for weeks, only to vanish as if they never happened? America has a strange way of forgetting the very stories that once shook the nation. Tonight, we're dusting off the old files, cracking open the hidden drawers, and revisiting scandals that were so shocking, yet most people today don't even remember they happened. Let's start with a scandal that rocked Washington nearly a century ago, the Teapot Dome Scandal. It was the 1920s. America was booming: jazz, flappers, prohibition, speakeasies. But behind the glitter of the roaring 20s was a dirty secret that made Watergate look like child's play. The US government secretly leased federal oil reserves, massive underground stockpiles meant for emergencies, to private oil companies. These weren't small deals. We're talking millions of dollars in oil contracts handed out under the table. The man at the center of it all was Albert B. Fall, the Secretary of the Interior under President Harding. He accepted huge bribes from wealthy oilmen in exchange for exclusive rights to drill on government land. One oil baron even delivered him a no-strings-attached loan of $100,000, delivered in a black bag, in cash. That's over $1 million today. The scandal exploded when investigators discovered that Fall's sudden fortune, including a lavish New Mexico ranch, didn't come from wise investments, as he claimed. It came from oil money. For the first time in US history, a cabinet member went to prison for corruption. And yet, if you ask the average American today about the Teapot Dome Scandal, most have never even heard of it. But that wasn't the only forgotten scandal. Fast forward to the 1980s, and enter the Tylenol Murders. In 1982, Chicago was paralyzed with fear. People were dying after taking extra-strength Tylenol, something as ordinary as pain relief pills. 7 people lost their lives in just a few days, including a 12-year-old girl and 3 members of one family. Police discovered the cause: cyanide. Someone had tampered with bottles of Tylenol, replacing the capsules with deadly poison. The panic spread like wildfire. Imagine, every time you opened your medicine cabinet, you wondered if the bottle inside could kill you. Stores pulled Tylenol off the shelves nationwide. Hospitals set up hotlines for panic callers. Parents refused to give their children over-the-counter medicine. The case remains unsolved to this day. No one was ever convicted for the murders. But here's what's even more shocking: the Tylenol murders changed America forever. That's why medicine bottles today have tamper-proof seals, child-proof caps, and warning labels. It all started with a crime that most Americans under 40 have never even heard of. And if that's not unsettling enough, let's talk about a scandal that sounds like it came straight out of a dark comedy. The Balloon Boy hoax of 2009. For hours, Americans were glued to their TVs as news helicopters followed a silver helium balloon drifting across the Colorado sky. Inside, they were told, was a 6-year-old boy, trapped, helpless, floating away. The world held its breath, fearing for his life. But when the balloon finally touched down, the boy wasn't inside. Hours later, he was found hiding safely in the family's attic. The parents later admitted it was all a hoax, staged to land him a reality TV show deal. America felt duped. The couple was charged, the father served jail time, and yet for those few hours, the entire nation was captivated by one of the strangest modern scandals in US history. Today, almost nobody talks about it anymore. Now let's dig into a scandal that blended politics, drugs, and downright bizarre behavior: the Mayor Marion Barry scandal. It was 1990. Washington, D.C. police had been building a case against the mayor for months. Then, in a sting operation that stunned the country, FBI agents burst into a hotel room, where Barry was caught on camera smoking crack cocaine. The footage was broadcast across America, a sitting mayor in the middle of a drug bust. His infamous line before being taken away, "Bitch set me up." You'd think that would be the end of his career. But here's the twist: after serving 6 months in prison, Marion Barry ran for office again. And he won. The man who became the face of political scandal managed to win back the hearts of voters. Today, few outside D.C. even remember his name. But scandals aren't always about politics, they can be about deception so deep it fools millions. Take the case of Milli Vanilli, one of the biggest pop duos of the late 1980s. They were everywhere, hit singles, screaming fans, even a Grammy Award for Best New Artist. The catch? They weren't actually singing. In 1989, during a live performance on MTV, the track skipped. Over and over, the words, "Girl you know it's true, true, true," echoed, while the singers froze, unable to continue. The world soon learned the shocking truth: Rob Pilatus and Fab Morvan hadn't sung a single note on their albums. The scandal led to the Grammy being revoked, the first time in history that had ever happened. Today, hardly anyone mentions Milli Vanilli, but for a moment, they were the poster children of music industry fraud. Now, let's jump to something darker: the Ford Pinto scandal of the 1970s. This wasn't about celebrities or politicians. It was about lives. The Ford Pinto was a small, affordable car, designed quickly to compete with Japanese imports. But engineers discovered a deadly flaw: the gas tank was positioned so poorly that even a low-speed collision could cause the car to explode in flames. Here's the scandal: Ford knew about the problem. They even did a cost-benefit analysis and determined it was cheaper to pay off potential lawsuits than to fix the design. Think about that, putting a price tag on human lives. Hundreds of people burned to death in Pinto accidents. When the truth came out, Ford faced one of the biggest corporate scandals in American history. Yet today, most people have never even heard of it. And finally, one more scandal that America couldn't stop talking about, until it suddenly did: the John Edwards affair. John Edwards was once considered a rising star in politics, even running for vice president in 2004. He was young, handsome, charismatic, a Southern politician with a golden boy image. But in 2008, everything collapsed. While campaigning for president, Edwards was caught having an affair with a videographer on his staff, while his wife was battling terminal cancer. The story grew darker when it was revealed that Edwards secretly fathered a child with his mistress, and then tried to cover it up by funneling campaign money to hide the scandal. For months, it dominated the headlines. Edwards was indicted, his career ended in disgrace. And yet, today, the story is almost forgotten, buried beneath newer scandals. Now, if you thought those scandals were shocking, here's one that redefined corporate corruption in America: the Enron scandal. Enron was once one of the most powerful companies in the United States, bragging about billions in revenue and topping the stock market. But behind the scenes, it was a house of cards built entirely on lies. Executives hid massive debts through shady accounting tricks, convincing investors that Enron was unstoppable. The result? When the truth came out in 2001, Enron collapsed almost overnight, wiping out $74 billion in shareholder value. Thousands of employees lost their jobs and pensions, and the scandal destroyed the accounting firm Arthur Andersen, one of the biggest in the world at the time. The Enron scandal was so explosive that it changed US law forever. Congress passed the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which forced stricter corporate accountability to prevent something this devastating from happening again. And here's the kicker. While executives walked away with millions, ordinary American workers lost everything: their retirement, their savings, their faith in corporate America.